The tree planting target in Scotland was achieved, which means that over the last year we've seen over 10,000 hectares of new forest being planted in Scotland, and you can think of as a hectare as about like a rugby pitch size. So we've created the equivalent of 10,000 new rugby pitches of forestry. 10,000 hectares or 10,000 rugby pitches can sound like a huge area of forestry, but Scotland's actually got a very large area of land, and the tree cover in Scotland's very low. It's about 18–19%, whereas if you look across Europe, it's much closer to an average of about 40%. So for us, it's progress. It's good to see. We've been looking for this level of planting to take place for quite some time, and certainly successive Scottish governments have had a target to deliver this level of planting. So it's great that it's happened. We're really pleased, but we need to maintain the momentum now because we want to see this level of planting and more happening for coming years, all the way up until at least 2030. Well, the targets are essentially related to climate change and the role that tree planting can play. Because if we're going to hit our climate change targets by 2045 to be net zero, that means as well as reducing emissions, we need to take carbon out of the atmosphere, because we can't hit our targets simply by reducing emissions. We can't let up on reducing emissions, that's absolutely key, but tree planting is also part of it. So the Scottish Government and across the Scottish Parliament, all the parties, they've recognised that tree planting is key to that. So it's important that we keep that level of planting, and actually an increase in planting up to government's own targets are 14,000 hectares, I think, by 2024. 15,000 hectares by 2024. Then that means we've got to be planting at least what we've planted this year for the next 4 or 5 years, and then push on from there. One of the important messages that we like to get over is that you can see in a rural context where we're growing trees to make products, it can be very worrying for somebody when they see an area of forestry being felled. And to be honest, Frank, it doesn't look the best in the first couple of years. But what we try to convey is that this is a forest that was established for us primarily to produce products. And we're taking actually forests that were planted in the last century, sometimes square edge monocultures, and we're turning them into modern forests with different tree species, more attractive in the landscape, so that moving forward we can have an endless or renewable supply of wood for our everyday needs, locking up carbon, and do that in attractive rural areas. So we're really trying to make forestry a sustainable and attractive industry for the future.